Yeah, thank you, ma'am. You can carry on.
Yeah, Bismillah, you can start the introduction, please.
This session, Ms. Ria Quadros. Ms. Quadros, manager of training for over she's
I think connectivity issues, no?
Correct.
School.
DC, we can't hear you clearly. Can you change your position or do some alternative thing so that we can hear you better?
And also turn off your video.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce the speaker for this session, Ms. Ria Quadros. Ms. Quadros is a manager in the Department of Training and Advocacy Services in Arpan. For over 9 years, she's associated with Arpan and has worked in the Department of Prevention to closely work with schools for the smooth run of Arpan's flagship program, and is currently a training and advocacy department, which trains the adult stakeholders on replicating and integrating the personal safety education program. She has experience working with adults and children through her profession, voluntary work, and field work. She is a graduate in psychology, postgraduate in social service from College of Social Work, Nirmala Niketan, Churchgate. She has done an advanced course in child care and child development recognized by UGC. She has also done add-on courses by Mumbai University and College of Social Work, Nirmala Niketan. During her tenure, she has received several awards like Loyalty Award, Best Performer, Creative Trainer, and Promising in Arpan's organization. Also awarded the Best Field Worker and Best Leader, Best Camper in NSS in Nagindas Kandwala College, Malad. I would like to welcome Ms. Ria Quadros to take over this session.
Thank you, Ms. Mimla, and all the ACSE for the nice introduction. And I know it's been a day-long session for all of you, and my session happens to be the last. But as ma'am said, I will make sure to make it interactive. Hello, can someone go on mute, please? Yeah, so I would definitely try and make the session interactive and participative so that I take more responses from you, and it would be like a more enriching session for all of us. And towards the end, let's see what key takeaways we have. But as ma'am rightly said, it is more from a personal safety education program. And in reference to Ms. Shubhangi's session in the morning that you attended on child sexual abuse, yeah, what the issue was all about and what kind of impact children experience. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can I request everyone to put your videos on for a while? So that I get to see you. Okay. What you need to do is take your right hand, take it towards your back. I want to see that you're doing, okay? So take your right hand, keep it on your back and tap yourself as saying, well done to you. Yeah. The reason of doing this is, one is to organize such an workshop, and there's been a lot of learning I personally experienced. So that's one. And the wonderful work that each one of you are doing as a professional for the children who are vulnerable. So kudos to all of you. So I begin my session, that is keeping children safe on personal safety education program. As a part of introduction, you may have already, said, or you may have already heard that this is ARPAN's flagship program. Can anybody tell me why it is important to do personal safety education program with children? Either you can respond in a chat box or you can unmute yourself and respond as well. In reference to understanding the issue of child sexual abuse, why it is important to organize or create a module of personal safety education to children. Why it is important for us to do this, such kind of program with children. Anybody? Any response on the chat? No? Okay. So again, understanding the importance of personal safety education program, that it aims to empower children with an age appropriate information. And it is a program with 3 components. Okay, it's a life skill program with 3 components, that is knowledge, attitude, and skill, which we give to our children. Okay, so that they can keep themselves safe. And how will they do that? They are able to identify what are safe and unsafe situations, what are safe and unsafe touches for them. And in case if they are in that situation, that is the unsafe situation, they can seek help at the right time. That is by refusing to the abuser or the perpetrator, by saying no, getting away from that situation and seeking help from the trusted adult. And in this entire process, it is not their fault. I think, again, I want to go back to the reference Shubhangi has said. If you remember the kind of impact that children experience, the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, the kind of confusion that they are having, all because of the kind of grooming that happens with children by the abuser, it becomes difficult for children to have that vocabulary and seek help, right? So that's the reason we empower them with knowledge, attitude, and skill, so that they are able to identify safe and unsafe situations, refuse it assertively and seek help, and keep telling to their trusted adult or a helping adult until they get help. And in entire process, it is not their fault. It is some of the key messages that we try and teach children. Yeah, and at the same time, when we do this kind of session with children, we also equally empower the adults. Now, these adults could be you as an individual, as a caregiver, as any professional who are closely associated with children. Now, when we do this program in any of a school, a community, or in collaboration with any organization, this program can be rolled out in different setup. Okay, but there are certain processes that one need to keep in mind, because I remember in one of Shubhangi's session towards the end, some of them had query when even Dr. Ashmita was asking that how do we empower our adults so that they are equipped enough to deal this situation appropriately, and how would they talk to children, right? So simultaneously, when I do this session with children, I ensure there are certain processes that we follow. So one is reaching out to the management or to the principal. Then once they get convinced, they understand that how important this program is, then we do a teacher session. So that, again, empowering teachers, because they are also the one who are in the school. Children identify them as trusted adults, so they also need to know what kind of messages are we teaching children, how will the children respond, how will they handle. So again, training the teachers as well as doing sensitization program with children. Then as the primary grievers, those are the parents, right? Parents, caregivers, guardians. So again, organizing an awareness session for these stakeholders. Again, they need to give a consent that these kind of program can be rolled out in schools, and they are okay as a caregiver that they want the children to learn about personal safety education program. Understanding that in the beginning, we said that this issue is sensitive and it becomes difficult for parents also to build communication around it with children. So while doing this session with parents and with children later on, it helps them to create a bridge between a personal safety education program and between a healthy relationship with a child and a caregiver, so that they can take up these personal safety messages and can start communicating with children on what is safe, what is unsafe. Mummy or daddy, or as a teacher, I am here for you. You can come talk to me. You can feel comfortable whenever you feel so you start these kind of conversations with children. And then once we do these sessions with children, we do a one-on-one session with every child. Again, the focus is to reiterate the key messages that has been learned in the personal safety classes and where the trainers have taught them. And if they have any queries, if they have any doubts, because in a classroom setup, there is a possibility that everybody may not raise your hand and give responses, or may not come to you and tell you that, if there is any unsafe situation that probably they have encountered. So it gives a safe space for them to share their concern, their challenges, their unsafe situations to the trainer. Following that, if there are disclosures, then we, as a process, do a case referral. That is, we have an in-house counseling team where they handle these disclosures effectively and confidentiality is maintained. And then again, we have a post session, which is again calling the parents and the teachers. Yeah, so this is how the overall personal safety education program as a process looks like. And these are certain personal safety key messages, that is the modules that are there right from pre-primary to the adult, that is till the 10th standard. It focuses and it aims on these 5 basic themes, right? But before that, again, understand that when you teach children, we do not directly teach children on private parts. We build the self-esteem, because in the morning session, when you saw on understanding child sexual abuse, what makes the child vulnerable, and the topmost heading which said that children who have low self-esteem can also be one of the reasons where easily can be targeted or can be vulnerable towards child sexual abuse. So again, building their self-esteem, letting them know that the body belongs to them, they are the boss of the body, they are special, they are unique in all the qualities and in all the possibilities that they do. So again, enhancing their self-esteem, and then slowly the modules are designed wherein then we come to private body parts, and we introduce a concept of private body parts again with a rationale or with the objective, so that they are able to identify the location. Because many a times what happens is, when we teach children, when in general society or in general area at our home, what we do is we teach them eyes, nose, ears, and we are very happy when our young children are able to identify. But fortunately or unfortunately, private body parts are something that we don't often speak to children. And even if they happen to talk about it, or they say something about it, we put it under the carpet. We say shoo, 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 shame, shame, you should not talk about it. So it indicates that talking about private body parts is a shame, and that could be one of the reason when child sexual abuse happens. Children may not come and disclose about the incident because I don't know how to identify and give a proper vocabulary. And second, nobody wants to talk about private body parts. Nobody wants to even discuss a topic like this. And so how will I be as a child go and talk? Yeah. So again, with a reason of diminishing shame, we develop that vocabulary, we give them the correct medical terms, and we also make them feel comfortable, because understanding that the first time when you start teaching children about private body parts, they are bound to giggle. You may feel shame, you may feel embarrassed, but to let them know that it's completely all right, and focus on the objective of why is it that necessary to teach you. Then we move on to the safe and unsafe touches. As I said, we believe in the concept of safe and unsafe and not good touch and bad touch, because again, it's a universal way of letting children know that you are not bad. The action and the behavior that happened to me was not appropriate. So it makes them realize that they need to focus on the situation and the action that has been happened. So again, letting children know what is safe touches, what is unsafe touches, and giving definitions to them will help children identify and respond accordingly. Then there are safety rules. Now, for younger children, definitely rules work, but for when they grow as an adolescent, that is your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, it becomes like more of an action point that they need to follow. So what does the safety rules indicate? That, you know, it is not all right for someone to touch, look, or talk about your private body parts, except to keep you clean and healthy. And it is never all right for someone to even ask you to do the same. And in case if someone does that, what you need to do is you need to refuse assertively, say no, and get away from that situation. And tell your trusted adult, keep telling till you get help. And remember, it is not your fault. So these are certain personal safety key messages that we teach children and reiterate so that they remember these kind of messages in the classroom and also in the near future when they encounter an unsafe situation. Not my fault is again, I think it's very, very important. I would like to share one incident here. When we were conducting an awareness session in one of the school, and we were doing this for an adult, for adults basically, and we happened to have one elderly who was almost 70 plus, an elderly grandmother attending an awareness session. And because her grandchild, grandchild was there in one of that school, in one of that division, so she happened to be there because we were teaching personal safety in that school. So when we did an awareness session on what child sexual abuse is, how it happens, what kind of impact it has, and what does the personal safety education program is trying to inculcate, that is, letting children know that it is not their fault if someone breaks that guideline. That is, if they do not follow personal safety guideline or violates it, it is not children's fault. So when we said this, she came towards the end of our of the session, and she said that can you repeat this, that it is not the child's fault. And when we said and we repeated, we happened to ask her, and if she wants to share anything, because she was there throughout and she waited even to talk to us. And she happened to say that she was a survivor of child sexual abuse, and every time she happened to talk to somebody or share her instance to somebody, everybody gave an inclination that it was her fault. And for so many years, she lived with that guilt and with that fear that all the incident that happened to her, the abuse that happened to her, was her fault. And she asked that, can I attend the next session? So imagine the power of letting children know that it is not their fault if someone violates or breaks the safety rule. Yeah. So again, not my fault is a very important and core component of the personal safety education program. And internet safety, I think we are in an era where children are using a lot of internet, and there are online sexual abuse cases also happening with children. So letting children know what are certain safe and unsafe situations even when they are online, and what kind of privacy, what kind of setting is very important for them, so that they don't fall under the risk and not into a trap of a person or an abuser who may also groom them online and probably indicate or push them to get into a conversation or get into act which can create an unsafe situation for them. Yeah. So are you all with me so far, that these are certain themes where personal safety education program is all about? Yeah. These are certain resources. I think we had also shared the link on the in the first half, but again, we will be doing it at the end of the session. These are certain resources and the modules that we do with children. So we have an offline program with children, which is very intensive program, which is 4 to 6 hours program, where on everyday basis, the trainer go teach children on personal safety education program, then do a one-on-one session with every child. And then again, as I said, if there are disclosures, then they refer it to the counselors, and then counselors ensure that the impact work is done. So again, that's an intensive and a comprehensive program which we do with children. We understand that every school, every community, or the organization that are arranging these kind of sessions with children may not be able to give us such a 4 to 6 hours understanding their academic process. So we also have a story based program which is a 2 hour, 1 hour each over 2 days, where you can go into the classroom through story. Now again, this is a very age appropriate story. Those are being narrated for children through illustrations, a very good, nice, colorful illustrations. And the story is being narrated and the flashcard and the illustration is shown to the child. And there is a one-on-one conversation. So in a group of setting, I may ask that, what do you think if it is a Neha and Amir story? What does Neha need to do in this situation? How do you think she should respond in that situation, or seek help? From whom she can seek help? So through these kind of questions, for the trainer's perspective, they deliver these sessions to children, again on a interactive way. So it's not only we giving messages and narrating stories and letting the children know that these are certain messages, but there are a lot of discussions happened in the classroom. Yeah, so these sessions that happen offline. We also realize in the pandemic that we continue to work with children, understanding that they are vulnerable, right? So all the modules that we had, which we were doing offline, we converted it in an innovative way through our eLearn portal, again digitalizing it so that many children around the world can go to the link, that is the eLearn portal. It's a free portal. They can go to that portal, use the resources, ensure that the personal safety education courses are available to them. So again, through the eLearn portal, we did that. Again, we have My Safety book, which is 4 to 7 years of age. Very interactive, again, a beautiful illustration. Children like those images. There are at times we feel that, children such as 4 years, are they too young to know about personal safety education program or about their private body parts or about the safety rules? But our experience have said the younger you teach children about personal safety, give them vocabulary of safe and unsafe, or give them vocabulary of private body parts and whom can they go and seek help. At a very young age, they are able to learn, they grasp the information and take help at the right time. That's been the experience. Yeah. So again, we have this module My Safety for 4 to 7 years. And again, as I said, it is an age appropriate information with illustrations. It's available on the portal. We also have 2 courses right now for 8 to 10 years of age. Again, with an age appropriate information, and then is the 11 to 13 years of age. Now these courses are 40 minutes because again it's a digital e-learn course, so it's a 40-minute course with a lot of topics followed by it, one after the other. There are activities, there are recap sessions, there are summary sessions, and these are in a video format. So what happens is, again, children like visual. So how they like the story and the illustrations, there are also children who like the video, the visual effect, the video, and through those videos, we are trying to communicate to them what is the message of personal safety education program. So again, these are certain 2 programs that we have for online. We, as I said, 4 to 7, we have Flipbook, and those are available in 3 languages, that is English, Hindi, and Marathi. For My Safety book, we also recently translated into Philippines because the organization working there felt the requirement of this book and felt it is so important to even teach young children, that is 4 to 7 years of age, on My Safety book or My Safety body. So they translated that book into Philippines. Yeah, and again, these modules are accessible from anywhere in the world on the digital device. So if any of you would like to start teaching children on personal safety education program, whether it is your own children, whether it is in your school or at the community at large, you can use these resources. You can go to the e-learn portal, and you can teach children about it. Again, it is being tested and verified with the Ministry of Education, and our modules are available on Diksha platform. We also have resources for the parents because they are very important caregivers with whom we work, because it's not only children's responsibility to, again, as I said, to, make them feel that they are responsible for an unsafe situation or for a safe situation, but it is the adults who are responsible equal, right? So again, we have resources around it, wherein in a simple language, where you have caregivers booklet, you have frequently asked questions. I know there are a lot of you who may have questions, whether it is about how do we teach PSE, if the child asks me about sexuality, if the child asks me anything related to private body parts, what is it that I'm going to respond? Will I be comfortable to respond or not respond? So all these inhibitions we do have. So frequently asked questions will address those questions. So I encourage you all to read that. I think Shubhangi in the first hour was also mentioning about a facilitator course. So for those parents who cannot attend our awareness session, that is in person or online session like these, we also have a facilitator course for teachers, for parents, so that all those who want to go read what is this issue all about, how do they handle disclosure, so in a very short summary it is given in that facilitator course. Yeah, so again, once again, I encourage that. Now I want to ask you, because we've been talking about offline safety, online safety, and children being vulnerable, what are certain best practices that right now you being a caregiver are doing for children? What do you think? What are you all doing for online safety? Anybody? I'm seeing the chat, yeah. So I just want to see. Okay. Anybody? What are you all doing for online safety? What kind of messages are you all giving to children? No messages? No tips for children? I'm sure you must be giving. Okay. So best practices for adults. So the way we expect our children to understand how technology is, they are fast moving, they are understanding the gadgets more better, they are so effective in their usage. In a similar way, we as an adults also need to know certain tips. Okay, we are at an age where we can't say that I don't understand what technology is all about, I don't know how to operate it, and so it becomes difficult. Yes, Nutan ma'am, you had raised your hand.
Yeah, can I talk?
Yes, Nutan ma'am.
Yeah, definitely we are quite aware about what is happening now, and it has been worse after the COVID-19.
Right.
So as a mother, I always tell my children that when we have to give them these mobile gadgets and the computer. So along with that, we need to teach them what things we see usually in it, what are the advantages of it and disadvantages. Along with that, we need to tell them that there are such videos which are coming, and we are not supposed to open them and we are not supposed to look at them, because there are people around who can try to chat with you, and they may try to mislead us, and they can take any information from us about our parents, about yourself, and anything can happen.
Right.
So yeah, so we need to tell them about these things, and as a parents, I think we have to be open about what is regarding what they are surfing around, because saying no to mobile or no to gadgets or whatever they are surfing is at least in today's world, we cannot say directly no to them unless they are around 5 to 6 years. But yes, when they are around teenagers period of 5th standard, we see to it that we teach them what it's there. And when we discuss with them, they are really, at least when I see to my children, they are aware of what is happening and what they are supposed to see. And they are become very conscious. Yes, mama said not to see that, and they immediately say and they try to discuss also after some time that mama, these were the things which were going on, but we had to shut down and all those things. So it's better we explain them what is good and bad in the gadgets.
Thank you, Nutan ma'am, for sharing, because you rightly said that the more comfortable we are using gadget, because they have been like a part and parcel of our life. We in living in this current situation, we may not be able to let children say that, can't use it, because either through their assignments, either through like these online sessions that are happening, everybody will have to be well equipped and understand the technology better. But more conversations around it, that how is the best usage that you need to do, and what kind of guidelines one need to follow, and if there is any unsafe situation, or if there is any uncomfort feeling that you come across, mom, teacher, or your caregiver is right away, you can always come back and let me know and share with me, and I'm there to support you. Yeah, so these kind of conversations are very important, which you are already doing. And so similarly, it aligns to some of the best practices even for adults, when we want our children to use online and how we expect them to be safe online. So again, understanding technology, we need to understand technology and get comfortable. We cannot say it is not my cup of tea right now. Yeah, so again, what are parental controls on your devices? I'm sure at times on the side there are a lot of pop-ups that come in which are not relevant, and at the same time which are not age appropriate information. So again, how one can block, again, learning about all those techniques are equally important. On a regular basis, keep a track of how much kind of usage has been done, what kind of softwares are available, to ensure that my device, my system, my children are in the safe online space. So again, understanding the technology is very important, and that communication which you said, Nutan ma'am, and for everybody those who are doing, yeah, so communication, please do not stop, whether it is online safety, whether it is about any safe and unsafe situation, or any conversation that makes children feel comfortable to come and discuss with you. Please engage with those kind of conversation, yeah, because very, very important. They see comfort, they see in you that you will be in a better position to help them. So teach them, and what kind of age, location, any videos, do not share it on an open device, do not share for those who you don't know. Make sure that all those information you share are private, and they are in safe, and you know whom they are sending to. Encourage children to inform, as I said, when someone is making them feeling uncomfortable on the device, or sending some message, some comments, so they can come and talk to you about it. Very important is to inculcate respect and empathy. Somewhere I think in that in the fast moving space that we are in, respect definitely is very important, that is towards the self, towards the others, towards their body. But at the same time, empathy, the way one feels, it is important for us to let children know that if an unsafe situation that you create or make others situation and an unsafe, they can also feel the same. So I think our personal safety education program also, right from the pre-primary till the 10th standard, respect and empathy is given a lot of importance. Yeah, so we need to bring in this within our children and in these kind of conversation. Again, setting ground rules, as you said, maybe with adolescents it becomes very tricky. So again, getting into a mutual conversation and agreeing on certain aspects is very important. Let them know that if there are any strangers, or if they do not know any person or any account who has sent them a friend request, then again they should not accept this. In a similar way, for you as an adult, if you know that any child below the age of 13 has created a Facebook account, has created an Instagram account, and has given you a friend request, it is advisable not to accept that, because there's a lot of, once you accept, there is a lot of content that on a social media that goes in, and with your age, the kind of post that would come, which may not be appropriate for those children who are viewing and who are constantly following your profile or any kind of information that is around and within there. Yeah, so again, very important aspect around this. Then place the system in an open space, but that again doesn't indicate what Shubhangi was saying in the first half. Do not hover them saying that 24/7 that I am keeping a watch on you, but giving them the space, saying that let the system be in open, or where you are able to access and see what children are doing. But in a similar way, let's create a boundary and certain discipline around how much is the internet being used, and the safety is definitely at most important. Yeah, so these are certain best practices for adults. I think what I understand is, even in the first half session, how as a parent or as a caregiver, our worry is that we will be able to identify this is CSA or no. Yes, Nutan ma'am, I saw you raised your hand. Any Nutan
Yeah.
ma'am?
Maybe by mistake. You could continue.
Okay. So as I said that generally, okay, I have a,
Nutan, please unmute yourself. Is it by mistake or you want to say something?
Yeah, hello.
yes, Nutan ma'am.
Yeah, I wanted to add on this. I was sorry, I just was raising my hand, then again lowering it. Yeah, when we watch television also, each time we try to tell them, what is right, what is wrong, because that is a mode which we all family members sit together and watch. So that also helps in between.
Yeah, you are right. Because generally what we've seen in our awareness session also, that children sorry, parents some time movies or series, again the intention for them is so that the doesn't happen, and so they need to be safe and they need to ensure that some series will not help. You need to have that conversation because you have a perspective around making them watch, or they watching this movie or any series, but children are maybe taking it or perceiving it in those kind of conversations with children. Yeah, because the perspective is very important. The rationalizing of the concept is very important. And again, being observant as to how can you identify, because that's something we always ये CSA, ये child sexual abuse है नहीं है, this is safe situation, not unsafe situation for my child, right? So what is a simple way of understanding this through a diagram? So I have two parameters here. One is the other person's intent, and we have your child's comfort. Okay, so these are two indicators for you. Now, once we do that, what we need to do is, if there is no sexual intent, okay, if the other person does not have a sexual intent, if you remember the definition that Shubhangi showed in the morning, what is child sexual abuse? That is, if there is any act done on a child for sexual gratification, there is an intention for sexual gratification by a more powerful person. So again, there needs to be a sexual intent, there needs to be a powerful person, and there needs to be a child. Okay, so if there is no sexual intent and if the child is comfortable, then that behavior is an appropriate behavior. For example, me hugging a child, me tapping the child on the back by either appreciating, by congratulating, or through a blessing, I touch that, which means that my child, whoever I'm doing this act or this behavior, is safe and there is no sexual intent. Okay, so that behavior becomes an appropriate. If there is no sexual intent, but that behavior, what I am doing with the child, is uncomfortable, then it is an inappropriate behavior. Okay, so which means that the behavior of an adult needs to stop because it is making the child uncomfortable. As I said, if I am showing love and care and affection and I'm hugging my child, the child is comfortable and I don't have sexual intent. Okay, so that's an appropriate. But no sexual intent, but I'm hugging very tightly to my child, or at times I'm pulling the cheek, pulling the pan down, tapping very very harshly. What is happening? I might do it for a fun, for either teasing purpose, arey chalta hai kind of, but my child is indicating, whether it is your student or child is indicating that the behavior, the action that has been done on that child, the child is not comfortable, and the child gives you a hint, right? The child either makes up faces, either gives you a push, either says, don't do it, I don't like it, it's bothering me. So any response that the child says that, or indicating that what behavior you do is not comfortable, that behavior needs to stop, because it can further lead to, again, if there is a sexual intent, and irrespective of it being comfortable or not, it is child sexual abuse. Yeah. So again, it's a two warning bell. Okay. So the moment you see an inappropriate behavior, that behavior may not have sexual intent, but the child behavior, because the child is the receiver of that action. So the moment the child we sense that the behavior is not appropriate, it needs to address, because further it might lead to having an intent, and then definitely it is a CSA with two warning bell. And if you need to take an action, then what you need to determine is through the child's comfort. So again, if sexual intent, whether the child can be comfortable also, the child can be not comfortable also, but child's comfort is something one needs to assess. You need to know the other person's intent and the gut feeling, that the instinct is something is not going right here. Yeah, so that will determine your action. Look at this image and tell me, is this child sexual abuse? Yes or no? You can respond on the chat also, you can respond through unmute quickly. Is this image a say, what does this indicate? Okay, I saw a few responses saying yes, yes. Why do you think it is child sexual abuse? I saw yes, but then why do you think it is CSA?
The girl looks uncomfortable.
Okay, thank you for sharing. The girl looks uncomfortable. The girl's reaction, yes, someone has written girl's reaction. Okay, can you see the person touching the chest? That is the private body part of the girl. Yeah, it is indicating, again, the girl is uncomfortable. So the intention of attending sexual gratification, that is either through her behavior and looking at the child's comfort, that is the child is not indicating that she's comfortable or either happy. So that is child sexual abuse. And yes, Sujata ma'am said that yes, the child looks scared. I have another image for you. Yeah, what do you think? Is this child sexual abuse? The person is giving bath to a child. Is this child sexual abuse? Again, I see many have responded no. Okay, so the child is happy, comfortable. The child is again happy. Okay, many have said no. So again, this is not a child sexual abuse. Again, if you look at the intention is to keep the child clean and healthy. And if you remember in that personal safety guideline, I said that if the intention to touch the child's private body parts is to make them keep clean and healthy, then it is all right. But apart from that, nobody could touch, look, or talk about the child's body part. At the same way, if you see, the child is feeling happy, the child is feeling comfortable. So this is not an image of child sexual abuse. Yeah, these are certain warning signs for an adult, because once you know what is appropriate behavior, what is not appropriate behavior, what are certain signs that one can indicate done by an adult. Now again, remember the last note I have highlighted here. It says that these are only some inappropriate behavioral signs which may indicate that these people are at risk of abusing a child and need help. All individuals with some of these behaviors may not abuse the children. But what is it that one need to be attentive or vigilant is because you know someone and someone's behavioral patterns. Like how you know your child, you also know your known person, because we said, right, sexual abuse, majority of the cases, the person is known, is someone whom the child trusts, is someone whom the family trusts, right? So again, we are aware of those individuals around us, and definitely we have some care and we concern. So if we do not address those inappropriate behaviors, that can also be a warning sign for them towards leading towards child sexual abuse. So that could be if some of the adults spend a lot of time with children and show little interest being with adults. If that's been a pattern and we've been seeing it, we are noticing that kind of behavior. So again, that's a ting that what needs to remember. Or uses a lot of aggressive language or behavior either in front of the child or in general when you are having these kind of conversations, making a lot of fun on children body parts, describe them into sexual words, at times sexy connotation, or trying to do a double meaning sentences. So again, when these kind of behaviors which are there, that needs a kind of intervention or the kind of stop that needs to be there. And or has sexual fantasies with children. So again, if that has an interest, and often considers children as a special friend. Yeah, so again, these are certain warning signs, but as I said, everybody may not indulge into child sexual abuse. But if there are inappropriate behaviors and if children are indicating, even if children are not coming and telling you, and if you think that needs to be addressed, it needs to be stopped. That's very important, because if you do not stop, in spite of you noticing or in spite of children coming and telling you, children will take it in a sense that this is acceptable, that behavior is acceptable, the behavior is normal, and so I don't think that I'll be able to disclose here and I will get help. So that kind of thought can also come around. So make sure that we address inappropriate behavior, though there is no intention, but children are not comfortable with those. If we are doing it, we also need to stop. So these are certain warning signs, and what you could do is, when you observe these kind of behaviors that are happening around you by an adult, you trust your gut, because as I said, our instinct, our gut feeling will never go wrong most of the time. Yeah, so again, you trust what you are feeling, what you are observing, what you've basically experienced. Learn more about it, understand the pattern, understand the behavior, understand what are you feeling right now. Look at the lot of options that in terms of reading resources are available. Make a list of the behaviors that even you want to talk to that person, and ensure that that person also needs help. So I want to talk to that person, and so these are the list of behaviors that I want to address. Yeah, so similarly, talk to someone you trust, which is also important. At times, what I perceive, it is not necessary that Dr. Ashmita also might perceive it. So again, if I know someone who can help me in this situation, with whom I am comfortable as an adult to share, talk, and clarify, and get another perspective of what I've seen or what I am feeling, it will always be helpful. So talk to someone that even you trust and will help you in this situation. As I said, seek help. Very, very, very important. Similarly, think about what you want to say and talk to that person, because we randomly cannot have a conversation around it. So again, make sure that we prepare ourselves well. Practice saying the words that out loud, because that will give you confidence that I know this is a difficult conversation, but if I practice that what I want to talk to a person, and how do I want to talk to a person, and what is it that I'm going to tell to that person, it will help. We usually do, right? When I want to take a session, you want to take a session with children, or you want to conduct sessions in colleges, you practice, you give your mocks, you ensure that there is a good reading that has happened. So in a similar way, here also one requires to be practiced. Then begin the conversation. Ensure that when you begin that conversation with that person, you are safe. And it's not only about you confronting that person. If the person is also wants to share his or her statement or any kind of his experience, listen to that person as well. So again, begin the conversation when you are safe, when everything is calm, patient, and give the opposite person an equal opportunity to share his or her thoughts. Yeah, all with me so far? Can I have thumbs up? I know, as I said, this is the last session, but can I see those emojis of thumbs up? Great. Yeah, again, so far we saw about personal safety education program. and the importance of personal safety education program of empowering children with these vocabularies, these messages, which are very, very important. But now we come to a critical and again a very what do we say, an again important component of handling disclosure effectively. What do you understand by this term, handling disclosure? Anybody, what do you understand by this handling disclosure? We've done with personal safety education program. What is the importance of it? Why do I teach children? What kind of messages I give children? I've also empowered my adults as to what could be the warning signs, how could they confront, how could they talk about it? And now we come to handling disclosure. What is handling disclosure? Nobody? Okay. So handling disclosure, as I said, is a very critical component, is because if there is any disclosures that come to you, or if children, thank you, Jyoti. So don't dismiss child's complaints. Yes. So if there are disclosures that come to you, or you suspect that children are experiencing an unsafe situation of this, or if there is any kind of behavior indication from them, how is it that you will be able to handle that situation very effectively? Okay, because the kind of response you will give will determine whether the child will disclose or whether the child will not disclose in the near future. Understand, in the morning session when Ms. Shubhangi was trying to bring in the aspect of the impact, the immediate impact and the long-term impact it can have. And why it can have a long-term impact is because if there were disclosures that were not handled effectively by a first respondent, you are the first respondent because the child trusted you and the child confided in you and came and told you that so and so has happened to me. And if that moment, if we didn't respond to a child appropriately or effectively, the child might have not been able to disclose it further or seek help, and that impact can have a long lasting. Yeah. So again, yes, Sarah, making child comfortable to disclose the abuse. You're very right. Yeah. So disclosures can be of various ways. That is, it can be a direct disclosure where through personal safety education program or through communication that some of you said that you already have initiated the conversation with your children about safe and unsafe situation. If children are going for counseling and if they are experiencing some kind of impact, or the counselors are working on some kind of, emotional well-being, and if those are the spaces where children felt comfortable, they might have shared. So that could be a direct disclosure. There could be a lot of other ways through indirect disclosures can happen. Now, indirect disclosures where the child is not coming and sharing it with you, that so and so thing has happened, but the child is either giving you some verbal cues, giving you hints, certain behavioral changes are indicated, or if the child is saying that, what, I am giving you, I'm telling you everything, but you have to promise me that you will not share this with anybody. Yeah. So very critical, very confidential information, but at the same time, the child is giving a statement, the child is giving a condition to all of us. So how do we handle these disclosures effectively? But before that, it is going to be very difficult for the child to come and disclose. And these could be some of the reasons. Then, as I said, because of the direct disclosures, that is either through PSE program, that is through personal safety education program, the kind of effective communication that we had with the child, the relationship that we had with the child through counseling process, definitely will come and disclose. But there are many children who, based on these aspects, factors or aspects will not come and share with us. Now, what that can be? One is definitely the child do not have a support system. Yeah, the child lacks those resources, lacks those support system, because the child doesn't know whom to go and talk to. Now, that could be because either of the past experiences that the child had from their trusted adult, or from the kind of interventions that might have happened because of one incident. The child must have felt that there is no hope, there is no way of communicating this to my support system, because they will not be able to understand what's happened. Yeah, so again, that could be one of the reason, because of lack of support system not being available. And if there are support system, they don't know how to handle disclosures effectively. So that could be one of the reason where children feel that they are not comfortable to come and disclose. There could be another instance where they felt that daddy will leave us and go. अरे mom and dad's so best friend है, तो फिर how will I go and disclose, because any which ways what has happened to me, there's nobody going to believe me, and everybody will put the onus on me. So even if I go and share this, I don't want my family to be separated, because they are taking the onus on themselves to keep the family united. So again, that could be one of the reason. There could be another reason where it didn't hurt, but it just made me felt uncomfortable, right? Because the kind of grooming, the kind of abuse that has happened to the child, either by saying that this is the way love is shown, this is the way how care is shown, this is the way you look very beautiful, or you are very special, I really like you. So the way it has been groomed, again, the children are confused and they don't know what has exactly happened to them. So whether it is even online, because as I said, even online grooming can happen by giving best compliments, by appreciating them, certain posts, and they feel that, this is the person, this is the one whom I can rely on. So again, a lot of confusion around not being comfortable and not being understanding what's happening with them. In a similar way, it can also be introduced that it is a special game, it is a special secret, and we know that it becomes difficult to disclose because the abuse or the grooming that has happened is to maintain silence. So the moment children want to disclose, they are not capable of doing it, because it is bound with certain promises, certain conditions, by stating that it is a special or a secret game between us, or this is the way I have been expressing love. So again, these are certain conditions because of which children find it difficult to disclose. I want to highlight two of the aspects towards the right. If you see, I liked it and I like the abuser. Yeah, there is a possibility of children liking the abuse because, as I said, it is a way of introducing it in a form of a love. And our human body is in a way where any kind of touch, if it has been introduced in form of a comfort space, in a kind of space of love and care and affection, we definitely like that touch, and it is pleasurable. Yeah, but at the same time, the abuser can also be liked is because of the trust, because of the bond that has been created between the child and the abuser. But children liking the abuse can be very, very rare, and creating that situation could be rare. So this is the reasons where children might not come and disclose most of the time with us. And how could you handle this situation effectively? Because as you rightly said in the chat, someone said it is ensuring that the child is comfortable to talk to me. We don't ignore and we listen to the child. I saw the responses in the chat. Similarly, how would you do this is by affirming to the child and by telling the child that I'm glad you told me. And trust me, it takes a lot of courage for the child to come and share this incident with you. If the child has come, which means the child really, really confides that you are the person whom will the child seek help from. Yeah, so it is very important when the child comes and shares an incident with you or wants to talk with you, appreciate and affirm them, saying that I'm glad you told me and I will try and help you. Yeah, in a similar way, demonstrate that you believe the child, because children are also very observant. So if you only listen and if you don't demonstrate that you actually believe that what has happened to the child, or by asking the question like, are you sure this happened to you? Can you repeat this again? I don't think I have got it right. So when we try and ask these questions, then which means that I am trying to check whether what the child has said is correct or not. Yeah, so rather make sure that you believe the child, you listen to what the child is saying, listen again through eyes, through ears, through your body. Do not interrupt the child. Reassure him or her that you will assist in getting help. Okay, again, try and make sure that you tell them that we'll help you, but not promise them that in every situation you will be able to help you. Okay, answer their questions honestly, very important, because the child told me, I know we need to follow certain guidelines, we need to follow certain protocols, but what is important for you is to let the child know what is going to happen next. If you don't let the child know that I'm going to talk to your parents, I'm going to call some of your trusted adult, I'm going to involve a school, I'm going to involve a counselor, if you don't let the child know, the child will later come to know that this information was only between us and it happened to go and pass on to everybody. Again, we are betraying the trust of the child. Yeah, so make sure that we answer the questions honestly, and what kind of steps are we planning to do. Avoid touching the child and ask for permission. That is what we do as an organization. We have a protocol policy where we don't touch the child. Why? Because child sexual abuse is all about touch. So any touch, if we probably do without the consent or without the permission of the child, it can trigger, right? It can have some emotion that the child might not be comfortable with. So it's always, if you want to even touch the child or make the child feel comfortable, it's advisable to let the child know that I am keeping my palm here, would you like to hold my hand, or if there is any kind of support that you would like me to give you, please let me know. Then at the same time, empathize that it is not the child's fault. As we said, reiterating that it's not the child's fault is very, very important. Do not promise to keep it a secret. That's what I was saying, right? Because it's all about secrecy, it's all about the silence. The moment you let the child know, okay, you tell me everything and I will keep it a secret only between you and me, which is not going to work, because you will need your other support system to get involved. And so let the child know that definitely I want you to be safe. I want you to be safe, but at the same time, I will have to involve the key people around the process that are being needed. Similarly, identify your own and the child support system. Most of the time we feel, you know what, that okay, who will be the support system for children would be the parents. But ask the child that is whom you think would be in a position to help you, guide you, because not necessary that always mother or a father could be the trusted adult. We have in our experiences, because at times what happens is they are past experiences of a trusted adult or of the helping person is very, very different than how we perceive as a primary caregiver. Okay, so that's why please check on the child that whom do you think is your trusted adult and why. That will give us an indication that okay, we are at the right track. Yeah, so again, that's important. In case of any inappropriate content, as we said, which the child reports, don't delete it. This is mainly for the online session. If you have seen any screenshots, if the abuser has send any comments or any kind of photos, videos, which there is there, make sure that we save it as an evidence, but do not delete it. Okay, so that's one. And again, follow up on a regular interval basis for the child safety. So it's not like a one-time intervention. I teach children personal safety education. The child is close to me, I have done some kind of groundwork and also referred that cases to the counseling, because the child needs counseling help, which is important. At the same time, the child needs the family also as a support system who needs to be psychoeducated about the issue. So a follow-up is important. So make sure that we interact with the child and we are in touch with the child to ensure that the child is safe or no, so that the abuse doesn't reoccur again. Yeah, so that's how we can do. What is it that you don't need to do? Can anybody tell me these are the ways that you can handle situations? What is totally opposite of this? Anybody? Quickly.
Tell the child that you did something wrong, that's why it happened.
Okay, so stating or letting the child know that what you did is not right. So that is something that we need to avoid, or we don't need to follow that, correct? Okay, thank you, Mansi. Anybody else? What else not to do? No?
when the child is saying something or sharing something with you, so that time you need to pay a complete attention. I mean, while listening, it's better to avoid doing some other things, and you pretend
Absolutely.
that you're listening, but along with that you're engaged in so many things that may
Absolutely.
again lead to some other kind of bitter
Absolutely.
experiences for the child.
Yeah, that can also happen. So we must be very, very careful that we don't do that, because we are the child may be either not being very comfortable to share, but if the child is standing next to me or has come to me to talk, and I am busy checking my register, I am busy checking my messages on my phone, or there is some person who has come who's giving me instructions, and the child is sitting right away there. So again, let us not do that, because the child is right away is sitting in front of you. So ensure that our full space, our full attention, our full listening capacity is with the child, because it really in any situation, it could be a CSA that the child would either share or not share, but any concern, if the child has come and talking to us, let's give that space, let's create that space where the child feels comfortable to talk and share about. Yes, Sujata ma'am, not being judgmental is also very important, because no, this child will always come and talk to me like that only. This child is always troublesome, so I don't think I should give or pay attention to this child, because there's no way talking to the child and it will not solve the problem. Yeah, so again, the moment we have our own biases or our own experiences with that particular child, it will again be a barrier of handling disclosure. So again, non-judgmental attitude approach is we need to be very careful about that. So again, be calm, believe the child. What are certain things that you must not do or avoid is definitely panic or overreact. As I said, the children to you and say, I know as a human tendency, we as a caregiver, it may be very upsetting. We may be very angry on the abuser or the kind of abuse that has happened with the child. We may be really furious, and we may be worried also for the child. But the moment you show that expression, children feel that something big has happened. And it may be because that they will feel that it is all about me, it's all about my fault. So again, it will stop the further intervention process. So again, do not panic and overreact, do not blame the child. As I said, like, I had told you not to go there, but you still went. Why don't you listen to me? I have so many times told you that what you should do, what you should not do, but still you're not listening. So again, when we have these kind of conversation, it is more from a blaming perspective. Again, pressurizing the child to talk. Okay, now you told me, I need this information. When did it happen? What did it happen? Who did it? What were you doing during that situation? When you pressure the child to talk, because again, understanding I need the information so that I can protect the child, but me asking too many questions or me pressurizing the child to talk will really hamper, and the kind of impact it will have on the child will be really different. Yeah, so again, do not pressurize the child, do not ask too many questions. As I said, I understand that we need information to protect the child, but the child may not be in that space to answer it. Again, ask the child to forget or adjust. Arey, no, that to happens only. You must have misinterpreted it. No, this doesn't happen like that. So the moment we give an indication to the child that nothing has must have happened like that, forget it. This is that was so normal, that behavior that happened to you. Why you are thinking it about it so much? So again, let's not do that. Make the child repeat the story again, as I said, because you told to Mansi ma'am, now you told to Dr. Ashmita ma'am, then you tell to Nutan ma'am. The moment it goes via, probably then again the child is reliving that entire incident that has happened place. And do not confront the child in the abuser's presence. Again, do you think that the abuser will ever say that I did it? What does it indicate then? That what the child told me, that I don't believe the child. So make sure that we do not confront the child and the abuser together. Okay, so these are the ways through which we need to handle disclosures effectively, because I said it's very critical. If any of our biases, if any of our interventions are not the way the child has told us, it can really impact and have an adverse effect on the child for a long term, for the long term that the child is living. So again, counseling is definitely important. This is how I say that what about the disclosure that has happened? One, at an immediate level, you need to support, you need to ensure that you believe the child, you don't blame the child. Safety is at an utmost priority. And at the larger level, what you could also simultaneously do is refer the child to the counseling. Counseling works beautiful, wonderful. You should look at those survivor cases. You should look at the children who are sharing their experiences of counseling that has helped them. So definitely children need counseling in this issue of child sexual abuse, and their parents need psychoeducation. Medical help is again very essential. If there is any kind of severe injury that the child has experienced, then again medical help needs to be provided to the child. Legal intervention, again legal help, you can always have a list of organization that works on legal aspect, and if the child and the family decides to take it ahead through a legal work, then they can approach the organizations and the court for the legal support. And the self-care is for you, because you are the one who are going to work with children day in and day out, apart from the caregivers. But we, at the same time, you also play a role of a caregiver. So as a professional also you work with children, and as a caregiver also you are associated with children. So your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, physical well-being is utmost priority. If we are not stable, if we get overwhelmed, if there's going to be a lot of challenge around grounding our spaces, then it's going to be affecting the intervention that we need to work on. Yeah, so again, self-care is very essential. Towards the end, what I have is for you is to know about the law. I'm sure you may have some basic idea about Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, which is called as POCSO Act. It came into existing in 2012 on the 14th November and later got amended in 2019. The salient features of the law is that it is a child-friendly law. It works on the best interest of the child, and it covers the child of the age of 18. You remember Shubhangi had asked you in the morning, who is a child? And she had given you a very definition, or whom we consider as children, based on our experiences and the behavior that children indicate. But legally, any child, any individual below the age of 18 will be considered, even in this POCSO Act, as child. Yeah. Again, as I said, it's at the best interest. So any decisions, any situations, any processes that needs to happen, the child is kept at the center, and that's how the entire legal framework works around it. It is a gender neutral law. It's not only for girls, but at the same time, understanding the stats said that boys and girls are equally vulnerable to child sexual abuse. So all children have the access of the law, and they can be protected under the POCSO Act. In a similar way, it not only covers the contact but also the non-contact. If you remember, the touch as well as non-touch aspect also, either through pornography, either through talking, seeing, online sexual abuse, all those can also be covered into contact as well as non-contact sexual abuse. The burden of the proof has been shifted upon the accused, which means the child doesn't have to prove that this act, this unsafe situation has been encountered. If the child says that I have experienced this, it is up to the accuser, it is up to the abuser to prove he or she is not guilty. Okay, so similarly, depending upon the severity of the cases, the penal provisions, the punishments are clearly mentioned in this POCSO Act. I'm only giving you right now the salient features, but what I want you all to do is maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow, please read the POCSO Act in detail, because you're working with children, you are having some association.
We
with
are, sorry, Ria, we
Yes.
are going to have a session as well on POCSO or
Great,
day after.
very
We are
good.
going to have that.
Great.
So,
I'm
and
sure.
may I take this opportunity to remind you that you can wind up in 5
I am
minutes?
yes, I'm
There will
almost done.
be, question answer time for that.
Right. Yeah, this is the salient features of the component, and I'm glad you are having this session tomorrow. So make the most of it, and at the same time, please read about it. These are certain major offenses that are covered, but again, I would like to simplify here. So penetrative and aggravated. Penetrative means the kind of insertion that must have happened. That is, again, touch is involved, but the touch is limit not only like that physical touch, but at the same time the kind of insertion through private body parts or through any kind of object. If that has happened with the child, then it will be considered as a penetrative. I will come to the aggravated word in some time, but that's the way how penetrative is looked at when it comes to sexual assault. Now, second is the sexual assault. Now, sexual assault means there is no kind of insertion. There is no insertion of the private body parts or of any object in the child's private body parts, but there is touch involved. Now, the touching could be, again, private body parts. It could be any part of the body with an intention of sexual gratification. That is sexual assault. Sexual harassment is the non-contact that you all did in the morning, where it is about no touch, but through verbal, through certain constant watching, through certain body language, certain gestures, pornographic content, all this will be covered unto sexual harassment with an intention of sexual gratification. Again, using children for sexual content, that is the pornography. I remember in the morning, Shubhangi was saying, CSA is all about you using children for sexual content. You're creating videos, you're making them do certain act which is not as per their age and in an unsafe situation. So if any kind of media, if children are used in those spaces, then that will be considered as CSA. And even if as an adult, if I have kept that video, I have stored it, I have not deleted it from my system, then I am likely to have punishable offense as an act. Yeah, so that's important. In a similar way, the other aspect is the component of the POCSO is I may have helped someone. Okay, I may have assisted someone to do this crime. Then also, because I had an intention and I helped, it will be considered as child sexual abuse. And even if the crime didn't happen, that is, the event didn't happen which we had planned, but because there was an intention of sexual gratification and we wanted the child to go through an unsafe situation, that intention will be considered and will be penalized and will be considered as an offense. Now, what is this aggravated? Now, aggravated in terms of the law means that you are in a responsible position as an adult to take care of the child. If you commit this offense, that will be considered as an aggravated, because as parents, teachers, non-teaching staff, admin staff, police official, doctors, army officials, police, we are all in that responsibility criteria. Okay, now what happens is if any of these people commit crime, especially with those children who are below the age of 12, that will be considered under POCSO Act, because we understand that children need that kind of care and support below the age of 12. And if there is a repeated penetrative sexual assault, that is a lot of time insertion has happened, then that will be considered as penetrative aggravated. And during the process, if the child dies, becomes physically or mentally disabled, or gets pregnant, or has HIV and AIDS, then that will be considered as aggravated. And if the assault has happened with the child with the special needs, understanding that children definitely are disabled and they are in a vulnerable situation, if they also happen to experience this, then that also will be considered as aggravated. And towards the end is just that whom can you go and report? I'm sure most of you know there are police stations available. They cannot deny to take an FIR. There is child welfare committees, there are NCPCR, that is the National Forum is available for protection of children. Child line, I'm sure most of you know 1098 is the helpline number. And there are online portals as well where you can go and lodge the complaint the moment that you have seen, but they expect you to give a correct information. Then again, RM India, and then there are social media. So Facebook, Instagram, any platform that you use, there is a report section. So anything that you see which is not appropriate, you can go and report at that end. These are certain helpline numbers. And I just want to say one thing is that prevention is possible, healing is possible, and we are the warriors to make children safe in this environment. Thank you. Yes.
Sheetal, are there any questions in the chat box?
No, ma'am. No one has yet posted anything.
Okay, anybody wants to unmute and ask questions, comment, opinions, doubts, sharing of experiences? Okay, in that case, over to you, GS ma'am.
Phenomenal work, Arpan. Thanks a lot, Ms. Coach.